I started recording too, so don't say anything weird.
Okay.
Oh, actually, before we start, I just want to show this is the best part about TDX this year. Everybody, well, not everybody, a lot of people got these giant Astros. And so everyone was just like walking around the convention center with these giant Astros, like children. There were two on my plane on the way home. It was
Christy,
awesome.
I
What?
will say that these vests come off, and I have twins. And so at some point, I'm going to need to borrow your vest so that my twins can wear them.
Penny already claimed this one. It fits her perfectly. So when she
But
grows
when
out
she
of
grows
it,
out of it, mine will be the same size to grow into it.
okay, perfect. Oh
Back to
my
work.
God.
Let's do this.
Back to work. Okay.
Oh, yes, Mark, the plane trips were interesting. Christy, for example, just rode with her Astro in the seat next to her because she wasn't a full flight. So it had its own seat.
It was amazing. I don't think that the guy next to me really liked it, but maybe he didn't really care. He was playing video games the whole
Where's
time
his
too.
sense of joy in life?
Okay, well, shall we
Let's do
actually
it.
get started? So I know, Mark, you were at TDX, you were a speaker. Did anybody else get to go this year that is here? I don't see Brad on the call yet. Okay. Well, let's just get started. I think we have an introduction slide next.
Jesus.
That's Tracy's dog. Name is Cheddar. Oh my gosh. Are you okay over there? Okay. Oh my God. That was funny. So if you don't know us already, I'm Christy. That's Tracy. She has a loud dog and twins. And we co-lead the San Diego user group. And I know there's a bunch of you from all over, like Mark, who joins us from the UK every month. So that's awesome. But let's move on. Today we're talking about TDX, Trailblazer DX. Tracy and I both went. It was a super fun time, even though I couldn't put a Max the Mule under her pillow. I'll I'll get it next time. Um, but I don't like before we jump into like announcements and stuff, Tracy, do you like what was your favorite part besides the giant Astro?
Besides the giant Astro, and I think I was reflecting on this, and I think for me, the theme of Trailhead DX for me was like a reminder of what I already have. And so it was really, and I think I'll talk to this in all of our slides, to be honest with you, and all the sessions that I went to and the people that I talked to, I was just constantly reminded of the tools that I already have at my disposal that I'm not using optimized. Because I feel like in these past few releases, it has just been so like chunky in what's been given to us that there just hasn't been enough time to, at least for me to deploy these things. And it was good to be reminded of them to make sure that I make them as a priority in my org. So I think like that was the overarching theme for me, was just that reminder of like, you have this, it's all ready for you, you're just not using it.
I love that. I remember, I think it was, I don't know, maybe like 2019 or something during a True to the Core session. I feel like someone asked Parker about that. Like, how can you help us use Salesforce, the stuff we already own, better? Like, give us a checklist. Like, these are all the features that you own. Which ones am I actively using and which ones am I not? So that I can stop, dreaming about Einstein GPT, but I could start using chat or, an Einstein bot, something that I already own. And I think, I don't know why they haven't done that yet, probably because they would lose money on people buying new stuff if they use the stuff they already have, just like all of Penny's toys all over the playroom. But yeah, I think that that's awesome. I think my focus, I went in like with my current customers in mind. So I spent a good portion of the week learning about Einstein GPT because I'm doing a lot of chatbot product programs right now. Um, Also B2B commerce. And then, I spent a lot of time just collecting swag too because because I would work for stickers if I could. Um, but also it was just fun to just be in San Francisco and see everybody. I like DX more than Dreamforce actually because since it is focused on learning, like everyone is there for the same reason and they just want to learn how to build cool stuff, which I love. All right, well, let's talk about Einstein GPT since it's already on here, and Einstein is so cute. So hopefully you guys have already seen the demos. They sent out like 1,000 of them. I put just a quick video on the next slide, Tracy, if you want to share it. You might. Oh, you did it. Make it stop. Oh my gosh. So when they showed this, they showed a longer demo, obviously in the opening keynote. I was like the whole time. It was it was just so exciting. Emily, I feel like that's on everybody's mind, right? Are they concerned about this replacing people? I think the developers in the room were especially concerned because they did show this long demo of having it write Apex for you and having it write all your test classes for you, which was super amazing. And I feel like will be so helpful. I don't see this replacing anybody. I think it's going to make everybody more efficient and it kind of lowers the learning curve, I think, a little bit. Like when I was in an admin and needed to do something in Apex, but I was like uncomfortable in Apex, I would have loved something to have like given me the base for my test class for me so that I could just like review and edit if necessary and not have to spend 4 days trying to like pull my hair out figuring out how to write this test class. And so I think it's things like that. And even like the sales and service things that they're showing, even in this little demo, it's like I'm interacting with my customer. I need to send them an email. And they showed this example of, you know, a short snippet of, send this customer an email about XYZ or whatever. And it writes it all out for them based on, like context from other emails that have been sent. And then it was like, can you make that less formal? And it like totally changed the vibe of the email to be less formal and more, fun and exciting. And it's just things like that, I think, that just are going to make people so much more efficient and fast so they can talk to more customers and focus on, selling stuff instead of writing emails all day. Yeah.
I agree with you. I definitely felt both camps. Like there was the general excitement. Like I was talking with my coworker after he had gone to an Einstein GPT session, and he is one of those people where I'm one of those people too where I can read Apex, I understand Apex, I can make corrections, but writing it myself takes a long time and feels overwhelming. And just being able to use Einstein GPT in that kind of self teaching functionality to be like, okay,
Mm.
I think this needs to be in Apex. I have this whole use case. Let's see how it writes it out, and like teaching myself that way. That part of it is super exciting. The other part of it, which immediately our chat blew up with, and I completely agree with it as well, is there needs to be gating and boundaries, and there needs to be like widespread discussions about the ethical use of this tool. And I will say, from my perspective, like I was excited slash half worried. I was probably 50-50. And I was thinking to myself when they announced it, I'm like, I'm so glad that it's Salesforce that is partnering with uh, OpenAI, open source AI chat GPT, because I can think of a dozen other companies that I'm like, oh God, I wouldn't want that partnership. And I know it's
Those
still
people are
early.
partnering with them too.
I know. And I know it's still early in the process, but I would like to see from a Salesforce perspective and from a grassroots perspective, I'd like to see us like having user group meetings, having discussions on it, like it being a more pronounced session to talk about the ethical use of this tool. Like how do we make sure that we're not losing jobs, but we're enhancing jobs? And I think I felt a 50-50 with the people that I talked to at DX about it.
Did you, so I know I said like all the developers were worried about job security, and I feel like they've been talking about that for a while now since people started testing ChatGPT with Apex, right? Did you, when they showed it like creating a flow for you, like does that verge on you getting worried? Like, is that going to take away your admin job? Or like, how did you feel about that specifically?
So when I saw that part, I was not worried at all because I was looking at that flow and I'm like, oh, that's
Like,
that's
nah.
how I would have done it when I first learned flow. And there's nothing wrong with it, but I'm like, and that's where I come from the standpoint where I'm like, I can see this as being a learning tool for myself. Like I
Hmm.
need to get better at Apex and like seeing that with the full knowledge of knowing like this is probably not the perfected way to write that code. And so that's at least for me personally how I'm going to treat it. Um, I know that there are like discussions all over the place where people are just like, and again, I'm only speaking to Apex because that's what I'm trying to learn. Where you see people have like copied and pasted test classes and been like, oh, just use this all the time and it's perfect. And it's like, yes, technically it works, but do you know why it works? It's because you're tricking the system, and that's not correct. So like taking that into consideration when I'm going about and learning it, I'm excited for. The flow part did not worry me based on what I saw it build. I was like, it's cute.
I had the same concern that Jamie just put in the chat of like they made it very clear that this is learning off of the data in your org. And I've been in a lot of orgs with a lot of shit data. And so is it one of those things where, what you put in is what you get out? And so like some companies, Einstein GPTs will be real dumb. Like they won't be able to answer anything or do anything, or they just always have bad answers. And so I do think, Jamie, like that's where data governance comes in and making sure that, you have automations in place that are filling correct data and you're not basing everything off of what your sales and marketing people are entering in the system. So I do think that that will become more and more important. I mean, it's like priority one now for hopefully everybody, but if you're going to use a tool like this, you definitely need to consider that.
Now with Einstein GPT and its announcements, what can us users expect now, if anything?
So I'm trying to find out like what's available now and what's coming. So I know like on the service side, the Einstein recommended answers, which is now apparently running on or Einstein GPT, that's in beta and you can access it. I think probably only in a sandbox right now. I saw it in my setup menu the other day, but then decided not to click on it yet. But I really, really want to, and I've been thinking about it ever since. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure how fast we can start using this and for what things. So I do think we should have a whole session on that once once we figure it out.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I can't wait to start playing with it. I think it's cool too that they really put it everywhere. Like they showed it in sales, they showed it in service, they showed it in marketing. I thought it was awesome that you could like create a landing page, in Pardot or Marketing Cloud like so easily. Um, they showed it in Slack, they showed it in Apex, of course, they showed it in Flow. It was like everywhere. Like it's fully baked, it seems like, which makes me feel good about it. Or it's even more dangerous. I don't
Or
know.
it's even more dangerous, and we even more need to have that discussion. Yeah.
Yeah. I did try to find out at TDX, like, yeah, do I pay extra for this or is it included? And nobody really knew yet. And I did go to like 4 or 5 different sessions on Einstein GPT, and they were showing the same demos in all of them. So I feel like while it might be available, somehow like those demo that's what everybody knows right now, and not much beyond that. So I think it'll take a while to get things moving, but
Yeah,
I'm
that's
super excited for it. Sounds like everyone's excited for it. I think more excited than worried, but also, with any new technology, especially AI, we take baby steps.
please let us take baby steps.
Yeah. All right, shall we move on? Oh, not that again.
Sorry.
Flow. I made a whole section just for Flo the flying squirrel. So if you haven't seen yet, they released a new character. This is Flo, and I my first reaction was like, but Flo is the progressive lady before I even like looked at the squirrel. It's like, why would they steal that character? But I'm super excited. He's super cute. He's a boy, and he's super cute. And I think flying squirrels are cool. I think the animal is a little confusing. Um, but I think it's cool that Flo is getting its own character. And then I started thinking about like all of the other characters are based on like massive products or like personas, like Appy and Cloudy's like the admin. So I thought it was interesting that they gave like Service Cloud doesn't have a mascot, but they gave one to Flow. So I thought that was interesting. But
Well, I think it's the natural progression of like trying to push these orgs and our admins and developers from workflow that's now dead, from process builder, and really get everybody should be using flow. And I think Salesforce knows its target market and says, hey, if we add a character to it, that'll get the
we
buy-in.
have stickers for it. I mean, sold, right?
The flow was adorable in person. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, ah, shoot, I need a plushie.
So, they said they'll have plushies maybe next year, maybe by Dreamforce, fingers crossed, that'd be cool. But I got really excited about Flow and I asked Dominique, the Astro's mom, the creator of all of our cute characters, if she would come to user group next month and do like a virtual drawing class to learn how to draw flow. So that's what we'll be doing next month. So I think that'll be really fun, just because we love nerding out about Salesforce characters.
And yes, it will be during lunchtime, but if you want to turn this into a virtual like wine and paint session, we ain't
Oh yeah, drink away.
gonna.
And I think it'll be really fun. And we're just doing like pencil drawings, so we don't really have budget to send people paint and stuff. But maybe I could send out some Trailblazer pencils. I don't know. That would be fun. So yeah, you won't really need any supplies, so you can definitely drink while you draw. All right, let's move on. Flow templates. So I feel like they made this as a new announcement at CDX, but I feel like they've had them for a while now, right? And I think the new thing here is they're just releasing the like, what did I put on the next slide? Like 900 or something. There's so many of them. 900, over 900 workflows. And these are like, when you go to create a new flow, there's the flow templates one where we've always had like the new omni-channel ones or the login flow templates, things like that. Now there's like 900 to choose from. And they have this whole library and they have it broken up into like industry and even products sometimes. So like, here's all your Einstein bot templates that you can choose from. Here's your Service Cloud ones that you can choose from. Here's communications industry or technology or whatever, so that you can choose these like common workflows that all those businesses are going to need to put in place and use them as a base to start building on, which I think is really cool and also lowers the learning curve a lot for a lot of people and just gets more people into flow because yeah, they can start faster.
This was, for me, this was a perfect example of reminding me what I already had. And Mark kind of hits on it in the comments yet. Like the announcement was like, hello, they're here. Have you seen them? You're not using them. We know. And like that was definitely true for me because it was like a reminder. And then I go into my org and I just click on the flow templates button. And like the embarrassing one was like we had a ticket in our org month adding opportunity contact roles and built from scratch. And I look at that flow templates and it's like, oh, so like it's right there. Like the time we could have saved, not that it was like an overly complicated flow, but like any shortcut or any like time savings you can utilize, you should. And so it was a reminder to me to like, I've had like the flow templates open in one of my tabs since I got back from DX, and I'm just like combing through them, comparing them to my Jira tickets to be like, listen, I know we can build this, but can we work smarter? So this was definitely one of my big reminders to myself of, oh, Tracy, it's already here.
Totally. I find that with those templates, I never actually use them as is, of course, and I don't ever actually use them in my sandbox either. I use them more for learning. So like in my Trailhead playground or in a dev org where I'm just like poking around learning how to do stuff, and then I'll like take the same concepts, but I find that I never actually just use the template and add to it, which is really stupid.
I mean, it's your choice, but yeah, there's just so many to choose from. And I yeah, it was a stark reminder for me.
Yeah, but super cool, and I hope, I mean, we can start drawing more attention to it, like in the topics we cover in user group, like, hey, did you know there's a flow template for this? And I think just everybody talking about it will get people using them because they are super helpful.
Yeah, 100%.
We got to talk about it, people. They need to make stickers for it. Oh, this one was super exciting. Okay, so like Salesforce best practice, and we all talk about this all the time. I feel like Tracy and I have debated this a zillion times, but wasting, your $150 a month user licenses on each integration you have so that you can actually track what those integrations are doing and what permissions they have. And for smaller businesses, that was always super expensive and sometimes not doable. Sometimes people had, one that they shoved all of their integration stuff in, but now they've got this new license type for integration users. I think every org gets 5, and then you can purchase more on top of that for like $10 a month or like something super duper reasonable. Um, and I think that this is just wonderful.
I am so excited because I know you and I have had throwdown arguments over this. I am in an org now where we have so many integrated tools that the only way to really like debug, at least smartly, was to create different integration users for all of these integrations. And I've been mocked mercilessly by some co-leader who I shall not name about the money that I was wasting. And I'm like, you may perceive it as money wasted, but when it comes to debugging, it is so helpful to see that the outreach integration user last touched this record. So I actually already like in my shared quip document with my Salesforce AE, I already put this in as a bullet, and I already have all of my integration users listed out, so I already know how many I need.
How
Super
many do you
excited.
need?
What was that?
How many do you need?
I don't want to tell you. 12.
Oh my God. That's awesome. Well, at least you only have to pay for some of them. So this what they said was going to be available after March 14th. So I saw a lot of people looking yesterday on the 14th, like, oh my God, it's not in my org yet. I want to use it right now. I haven't checked today to see if, now that it's after the 14th, if it's available. But I'm sure something will come out about it and say, these are finally available. Or the first person who sees it will just like go on Twitter and blast everybody. So just keep an eye out on this. I think the important thing to note here is that these integration user license types are API only. So like if you need to use it for something else too, then just keep what you have. They're not like a secret, oh, we can get people in for free type thing. API only. Oh yeah, here's a little picture that I stole.
My bad.
So,
I didn't go to the next.
so um yeah, just now instead of using a standard user profile, we get cool little robot license type. Trailhead coach. Just go to the next slide too. I don't know why I put title slides for our
Sorry. My fault.
So I have mixed feelings about this. So Trailhead Coach, it looks really cool. It's Trailhead and the learning paths. I'm not quite sure how they're different from just like a trail mix because I don't have access to it. But it sends you down like a learning path for a persona. You get vouchers, you get like resume and interview guidance type thing. But this is only available through like the Salesforce Learning Partnership. What's it called? The Workforce Partner Program, which is part of the Talent Alliance like career program. So you like have to, I think this is the same thing that Salesforce military uses too, or the same type of thing. I think they were probably the pilot for it. But you have to be part of one of those programs in order to access this, which I thought was super limiting. And I thought it was interesting that they made like such a big hurrah about this since it is so limited. Oh, I would, once you get in, I think I would love to see it if you're willing to show it. I think that would be really cool. It sounds really, really great, but I think that it's super limited and I have questions about that. And I wonder when they first rolled this out, and I didn't actually click in to look at it. I was like, what is this, a paid version of Trailhead where you get like access to extra stuff or something? And I kind of wondering if that's the direction they're headed. Like once they're done using it with these like career alliance groups, would they open it up to everybody in that way for like a fee or something? Like that's what was rolling around in my brain.
Do they really need another revenue stream?
Yes. Yes, they do.
It'll be cool to see how this evolves. And like, I'm always like education for all. So I hope that one day they open it up. Um, we will see.
Yeah. Jamie, that would be a cool use case. Like, you're already one of these personas. Like, what do I do to get to the next one I'm interested in? Type thing. I think that would be
Oh
really
yeah,
cool.
the subject matter, Yana. Yes. Oh my God.
Hmm. How do you guys feel? I for some reason I don't remember. I went back to some of the Trailhead modules that I did like years ago, and they have all been updated, and they have like videos in them now. I think they call them like Trail Together or something, but it's like a person walking you through the whole module, which I thought was really cool. I don't think that Brad is actually here.
I think he probably got stuck, detained in another meeting.
Yeah. So that's okay. So Brad Atherton, he got to come to TrailblazerDX this year. It was his very first one, and he also attended the developer boot camp at the end of it. And so he was gonna just talk through his experience and stuff, but he is not here, so he will not be doing that. We'll get him to do
I
that.
do think like if we
Yeah.
have time during the April session, if we have time at the end, because I do know like a lot of people weigh the price of the boot camp and if it's worth it. So it'd be awesome for the group as a whole to hear how he felt about it, especially since it's the developer boot camp and not the admin one. Just a different
Yeah,
perspective.
totally. Well, those are all. Oh, Jamie, do you want to tell us about your first TDX experience then? I'm gonna make you speaker.
She didn't say yes. Don't put her on the spot like that. You're
Okay.
so rude.
Look, there she is.
You are now sending Jamie a plushie after this.
Hi.
Done.
Oh my gosh, all the plushies. Christy, I was the one on the flight home with you that I had to shove my Astro under the seat in front of me.
Yeah, I was luckier that my Astro got a real seat.
Yeah, no, I don't know if the lady next to me would have been super stoked about a giant plushie, but yeah, no, this was my first TDX and I've been old schooling it with Dreamforce like since like the 2012s and stuff. So that's always interesting to kind of go to. This is like my first outside of Dreamforce Salesforce event, so I wasn't 100% like aware of what to expect, I guess I would say. Um, I am a admin slash business analyst, I guess I'd say. I have 10 years in the platform, but I am not a developer by any means. So I was kind of hoping to learn a lot more about the development side of things and understand how my developers kind of work, better within the platform, and if there was going to be really cool stuff coming out to assist them, um, that I should be aware of. And I feel like that's what I, as a kind of season admin going to these events, I feel like that's what I kind of go for. It's not necessarily to like skill myself up kind of thing. It's more of a like, what's coming, what's going to be available. Because I feel like over the last several years, especially, Salesforce is like, we're going to throw 30 new things at you this release, and like half of it's only half done. Like,
Amen.
and that's what it kind of felt like with some of the stuff here, like the Einstein GPT. It was like, again, yeah, you saw the same demo every single place you went, and I was like, is that all you finished? Like,
Yes.
what's actually, yeah, what's actually going to be available? Or I went to the awesome session that I thought was where they were talking about the changes coming for permission sets and profiles, and some of the stuff that they're fixing there. But it's like, okay, this all sounds really great, but like you haven't actually done any of it. So where where are we at? So I felt like there was a lot of that going on, where it was like, we're really excited about this new thing that's totally not ready yet. Um, so,
I
so that was
actually
different.
Sorry, I actually found that TDX this year was a bit more marketing. Like it seemed a little more like Dreamforce this year and less like this is the
Yeah.
hands-on we've got for you.
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of thinking it was going to be, was more like, here's the stuff that you can like actually do, and here's the stuff that is how you use it type things, versus, yeah, it was like, here's a new mascot and here's some cool new stuff that's half developed. Like, so it was very interesting, but I also felt like it was a smaller group, so it was a little bit easier to navigate. I didn't have the issue with the sessions that I had at Dreamforce where you couldn't get in. So it was just a little better in that aspect, I think, in terms of, although it was a large event, it still felt smaller. And I felt like I made a lot more connections with other people, which was a cool thing for me. I'm currently looking to hire. So if anybody knows a really great admin that needs a new job, I've got one. But at the past Dreamforces, I feel like I'm always so focused on like going from place to place to place, and let me get there on time, and I've got 10 minutes to get across the street or whatever. And this one, I had time to kind of sit down and talk with people and make a connection and learn about how other people manage their orgs and work in their orgs and things like that. And I felt like that in itself was super valuable.
Yeah,
and different.
I agree with that so much. And it also reminded me of something that I didn't like about DX this year, was the layout of the sessions. Was I would be in one session and a workshop's happening across the way. There's no doors closing it. And so you just have to like try and focus on your microphoned person so hard. And so that added to the distraction. And then I personally felt like the campfires I went to, like those who have gone to Dreamforce know that the campfires are like these tiny little cute intimate sessions with maybe 15
Benches.
logwoods to sit on, right? And I was going to campfire sessions that were probably in excess of 50 people. And I was, well, this is obviously speaking to the importance of the session. Maybe this isn't the right environment for that. And so I feel like I missed things because of that format.
Yeah, and there was definitely a lot of times, like I had such a hard time, making my schedule, because first off, they don't release it till really late for any of these groups, but it was kind of like, there's 5 sessions that I want to go to that are all overlapping each other. Like it wasn't like there's a block here, there's a block here almost. It was like, this one goes to like 11 to 11:45, but this other one starts at 11:30. And like it was just like, I don't know, it was a little strange with the setup. And I miss the old days of Dreamforce where it was like every session had like 5 session times for it. Now, granted, that's not ideal for the speakers, I'm sure, because they're like, oh my God, I got to present the same thing 5 times. But it made it a lot easier to actually get to a session that you really wanted to see. And that's where, like on this one too, most everything was just like one session, unless it was like the major keynote kind of thing. So I don't know. It was great. I mean, I loved it. I came back with a lot of information, but I feel like the majority of it was leaving me with more questions than answers.
Mm-hmm. I missed a lot of sessions that I wanted to go to too, and I do that at Dreamforce, but I actually this is where the Salesforce Plus comes in really handy, I think now, because
Mm-hmm.
like this week in my spare time, I've been going back watching things on Salesforce Plus that I wasn't able to go to in person. And I feel like that's kind of how I prioritized my schedule too. Like if I knew it was going to be on Salesforce Plus, I didn't
Yes.
even bother because I knew I could watch it later. And I actually kind of like
I,
that.
I did that too, actually. I looked for what it said was available on Salesforce Plus, and if it was like overlapping with something I was already wanting to go to something else that wasn't, then that definitely allowed for me to kind of say like, okay, great, I'm going to like put a little meeting schedule on my calendar with the link to that, you know, video that I want to watch, you know, later on there. So I think having Salesforce Plus is a really big plus side. And for me too, I also like assigned some things to like, I have a junior admin that works with me that I was like, okay, can you go watch these things and tell me if there's anything I need to know?
Yeah, I did that with my coworkers who came. Like we at the beginning of every day, we're like comparing notes, and we're like, you go to that one, I'll go to this one, we'll go to this one together. Are you ready? Go. And then we'd run into each other constantly because it was a smaller event, and be like, how'd you feel? You're changing tactics. Okay, you're going to that. I'll go to this. But it definitely required like participation and agreement.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same like vibe, I think, for the like between Dreamforce and that. It's just smaller, more intimate, and it's obviously shorter, which made, you know, my feet happy. But yeah, I just felt like this one, like I said, a lot of this stuff, it was either like, let's have 5 sessions where we show you the same GPT demo every single time, even though they have different session names. You know, or again, it was leaving me with more questions of like, well, if it's a learning tool, like what's it actually learning off of, you know, like what's going on? So.
Well, that's awesome. Like, thank you so much for allowing Christy to put you on the spot like this.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's it. That's all that. If anybody has other questions, you know, feel free to contact me or whatever. I'm always open to talk. And yeah, that's my recap of TDX.
That's awesome. Thank you. And yeah, I think, you know, I think as a whole, for those who haven't gone to Trailhead DX and those who are considering it and like trying to see if they can budget it with their orgs for next year, you know, I hope that this session provided like honest considerations. Like it's not going to be perfect, but there are methods you can take to enhance the experience. And I think with any conference, if you go in with really low expectations, you're always going to be pleasantly surprised. Not to say that Salesforce conferences are horrible, but it's just they are what they are, and they have changed since that virtual transition and now coming back. And I think we're just seeing a lot of that too. But with that said, Christy, I know we already talked about what's happening next month with our drawing flow session. Should be really fun, just fun, get to know each other. We probably will make it a very casual session, so be prepared to have the capacity to be unmuted. You can stay cameras off, but you know Christy.
I was thinking of also inviting a flow person, since we're talking about flow, maybe one of the product managers or something, just talk more about like flow and why they think it's so exciting, maybe like roadmap or something. I don't know. But yeah, it'll be cool. And then I really want to plan an in-person thing for May, I think.
Give us May, June. We haven't even found a spot
Yeah.
yet, so.
But we need to get in person again. It's been a few months. So
But with that, guys, go back to your workday. Thank you so much as always. Learns, and if you need us, we're available. And those who have reached out to me know that I am the worst, and Christy reaches out to me to make sure that I reach back out to you because I don't check my LinkedIn. My formal apology for not checking my LinkedIn, guys. I'm going to do it at least once a week from here on out. I don't have the excuse of newborn twins anymore, and for that, I'm sorry.
she's lying. She'll never check it.
I will. I have an alarm. Thank you, guys. And we'll see you next month.